Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eyes of the Mise. My name is John. That's Ian.
Is it? No, it is. It's me. Hi.
Hey, everybody. This is episode 78, Boarding the Weatherlight, because we're going to talk all about Dominaria this week, because we're smack dab in the middle of the preview season, and the set is looking really, really sweet.
Get on board the hype airship.
Hype ship?
Whatever.
Anyways.
It's that gif of like the ship that like gets the rockets and then takes off out of the water.
Exactly. Before we do, we'll turn eyes to the community real fast. Remember, Dominaria comes out April 27th. So we're still a little bit of ways away, about 2 weeks out from the pre-release, which is going to be incredibly exciting. We also
Speaking of pre-release, and I know we don't have this on the notes, the pre-release.
Yes. The pre-release is not this Friday, but next Friday.
Yeah.
And the guests are, I'm doing this from memory, Kelly Diggs.
Yep.
Cube April.
Yep.
I know the fourth one, but I'm trying to save him for last. Who is the other one? It's God.
It's Nathan Holt.
That's right, Nathan Holt, the wizard from Walking the Plains, and the last person, a person whose name I didn't expect to come up on for like the PPR list, but then in hindsight makes sense, is Pro Jared.
Who?
YouTube's yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. Very big YouTuber. He hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube today.
How about that?
Yeah, literally just today. So that's a cool little get. But yeah, it should be a very interesting group of people.
Yeah. By the way, the reason why I realized that Pro Jared was actually a pretty reasonable person who could be on the PPR, not only because, again, his YouTube channel has 1 million subscribers, he's done a lot of Let's Plays of various different games. I think he did a Chandelar playthrough recently of the old PC game. But he's also, I feel like he's also worked with Wizards of the Coast before. He works with them currently on their D&D series, Dice Camera Action. So there's already a relationship between Pro Jared and Wizards also makes Magic, and
he also plays occasionally. Like I've kind of touched in and out with stuff of his over the years.
I think he played at the GP not too long ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll be around because I know he lives in the Seattle Pacific Northwest area up here. So, hey, it's cool. I'm excited to see it. It should be a very interesting group of people. I expect April to just be dropping puns left and right. And
of course,
Nate Holt is Nate Holt, so that's going to be a hoot regardless of the situation. And
I hope he's the wizard at least for one match. Maybe not for like the entire time, but at least for one match. I want him to be the wizard.
I mean, we already have that amazing gif of like this and just getting up on the table, tapping himself.
Are you suggesting that I'm not in control of myself? Oh God, that was so good.
Oh, anyway, continuing
Speaking
on.
of Seattle, this weekend is GP Seattle. There is a Legacy GP starting Friday, ending on Saturday, and then there's also the Standard GP starting on Saturday, ending on Sunday. If you're watching the Twitch stream, it's going to be Legacy Friday and Saturday, and then day 2 of Standard on Sunday.
Yeah, so one note of the Saturday stream time, it will start 1 hour later at 10 a.m. Day 2 for the Legacy group is going to start 1 hour later to allow for the start of Standard at 9 a.m. So it doesn't overlap, literally starting the same time, which would cause chaos.
That's smart.
That's actually a really smart little tweak. Actually, the GP, if you're listening to this on Thursday, you might be at the Grand Prix already because it's a 4-day Grand Prix.
You could, yeah. 4-day GPs are sweet.
I was trying to get my Elite Pass approved to make sure I got there all 4 days. I'm still fighting for work stuff. Kind of got in the way with some other things, and I'm kind of short-manned in my shop, so I have to stay behind at least tomorrow. I'm hoping to maybe get Friday to go down there so I can play in the Legacy event, and if not, I'll still be there Saturday and Sunday. But we'll see how it goes. If you guys are going to...
Perspectives is barely $100.
John, if I'm only going Saturday and Sunday, I'm playing Pauper, and I'm playing a lot of drafts, and I'm playing a lot of Turbo Town side events. I am going to get myself some darn tickets.
Fair enough.
If I can't play in a main event for Legacy, I'm just going to just jam side events and hang out with people and do friendship all weekend.
Fair enough. Another thing that I put on the Eyes on the Community is because, the Eternal card game made by Direwolf Digital, which LSV, Patrick Chapin, Matthew Nass, A bunch of other Magic Pros work on.
Conley Woods. Raptor.
Recently put out this month a sealed event. So they've done events in the past where they're like special stipulations, or they'll be like, hey, this is like, get a random deck and play against other people with it. But this time it's sealed. This is the first time that they've done a sealed event. How the sealed event works is you pay 10,000 gold in, which would essentially get you 10 packs. You get 4 packs of the most recent set, Dusk Road, and then 2 packs of the previous 2 sets, Omens of the Past and the Empty Throne. And then you build a 45 card deck out of those. You play 10 placement games, and then you can play 20 tiebreaker games each week. And then each week after this week, you get a additional pack. Next week's is a Dusk Road pack, followed by an Omens pack, followed by an Empty Throne pack. And then at the end of the month, there will be leaderboard prizes based out on how high up the leaderboard you are. I am currently 6-4 and 14-6 in tiebreaker games, and I am 967th, I believe, is my final ranking. So
that seems pretty good.
I also recorded those videos. You can actually go watch as of day of. I've got my games 2 through 10 uploading. They'll be out tomorrow morning, or this morning if you're listening on Thursday, April 5th. And you can also find the playlist on YouTube as well. Just search Well Eternal and you should be able to find it. Now then, moving on to Magic Times. Dominaria is out, or not out, is being previewed, and oh boy.
Previews are out.
They have turned this set up to 11 in more ways than one.
It is, it's spicy.
It is very spicy.
Spicy.
First card that we have on the list is Dauntless Bodyguard.
Oh yeah, so we should mention, we're just going to be going through some cards that we picked, the ones that have been unveiled so far. Remember, there are a whole bunch still to go. We are still not talking about stuff that has not been officially previewed as of yet.
Yes.
Also, shout out to the artists. You killing it.
Yes. We'll get to a few of those, because there's specific artists.
We have to talk about it multiple times, John, because they are killing it literally that much.
That is true. I'm surprised they are not being arrested for murder. First
That's
up,
not in the set.
That I know of. That we know of. It's not in the set. First up is Dauntless Bodyguard, white for a 2/1 human knight at uncommon. As it enters the battlefield, you choose another creature you control, and you can sack the bodyguard to give the chosen creature indestructible until end of turn. This is like one of the best Vandalines ever printed.
Yeah.
It's insane. And every time I see, nice aggressive white cards and aggressive red cards, I always keep wanting to try to brew Boros aggro. And most of the time it's failed. The problem with this one is that it doesn't trigger with Path of Metal, which is what I really want to do in life now. Aside from show people a new perspective on life. But Dauntless Bodyguard looks really sweet. It looks to be pretty impactful in Commander, or not in Commander. Actually, be pretty decent in Commander, specifically Night Tribal, but in Standard. And then also, I'm going to have to find room for this in my cube. I don't know how, but I am.
Oh, good. Mono white, bro.
That white weenie life, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is like the old school Benevolent Bodyguard, but like this one actually you have to it's very flavorful. So Benevolent Bodyguard was like the old 1 white, 1/1, human cleric, sacrifice Benevolent Bodyguard, target creature you control gains protection from color of your choice until end of turn. This is more flavorful as a bodyguard in that it's like, I pick you. I'm your bodyguard. All right, I got you.
Yep.
It's freaking great, and I love it.
Oh, yes. Next, we have Lyra Dawnbringer. She is 3 white for a mythic legendary angel. She's a 5/5 flying first strike lifelink, and gives your other angels +1/+1 in lifelink.
Hey, Baneslayer Angel, I'm gonna need you to sit down a minute. Lyra can be a commander.
Yes. Also, an actually legitimate angel commander.
I'm not gonna lie. So I still have a mono white soldiers and commander, or soldiers and angels, kind of equipment-ish based deck off the mono white precon. That now I can seem to finally sideboard out that equipment plan and just go ham on the angels and soldiers.
Yep.
Thanks to this set. I love it.
Yeah. Also, Sarah Angel is in the set because of course it is. With incredible new art by Donato Giancola.
Your boy Donato's back.
Oh yes. Also, I love the Twitter exchange of Saffron Olive being like, "Hey, Sarah Angel's back." I'm surprised it's not a common, but I guess but I assume we're not too far away from that world. And Air Force replies, "We are very far away from that world."
I mean, it's not black green yet.
That is also not a black green vigilance flyer. That is true.
Sorry, I had to go there.
So that is the kerfuffle about the GDS 3 Great Designer Search 3 exam, where there was a question about a creature that is a vigilance flyer and what color combination it would be, given the fact that they didn't want the design to be a design that they could do in a monocolor, because there are blue-white vigilance flyers as well, but the answer was green-black, which made a lot of people upset.
And everyone's like, what? And then they're like, well, it comes, flying is like a tertiary color of this one, and it's like, and vigilance is a tertiary color of green, and everyone's just like, what are you doing? What is this? Whatever.
Like, it can technically work.
I know it could technically work. Everyone's just like, huh?
It does feel a little weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Everyone just sits
there. It feels a little weird.
Everyone just sits there scratching their head and like pointing like, what? Anyway, the next one.
It's just like, well, first off, it's just like the card that Mark Rosario talked about. There's he could design a mono green card that says, create a 1/1 Death Touch snake. It fights target creature and opponent controls, which would just basically be Doomblade in green, and that works entirely mechanically in green, but they're never going to print that card because it's literally just green Doomblade.
Well, it sucks because how else we're going to get that 1/1 snake token with Death Touch?
But that's a black card.
Oh, Theomancer.
Yeah, next one. Go ahead, Ian.
All right, next one's a Seal Away, 1 and a white enchantment. At uncommon, it's got flash. So, sweet. But what Seal Away does is kind of like what the name says. Enters the battlefield, exile target tapped creature and opponent controls until Seal Away leaves the battlefield. So we get a cheaper cast out, but it only hits tapped creatures. So opponent declares attacks, flash and Seal Away.
Or it's a flash Journey to Nowhere.
Yep.
That only hits tapped creatures. It's going to be great against Scarab God if they ever attack with it.
Yeah. Actually, it's a really good answer for Scarab God.
Yep. It's also just really efficient. 2 mana. Gets rid of most things.
Yeah, just hitting a lot of decent stuff. The art on it looks great. It's some old giant Thran, possibly.
I was suspecting Phyrexian because of the flavor text, an ancient nemesis rendered harmless long ago.
Yeah, it's probably like a Thran era Phyrexian kind of behemoth based off of
old thing.
Yep. Yeah. Looks sweet though.
Oh, it looks fantastic. Next is Shalai, Voice of Plenty. She is 3 and a white for a legendary creature angel. She's a 3/4 flyer. She has the amazing line of text, you, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof.
So, it's like better Sigarda.
Well, specifically because they're changing the planeswalker redirection rule, planeswalkers can now be targeted by burn spells, so giving your planeswalkers hexproof is more relevant.
Oh yeah, but it's like, hey, we're going to scale back on the hexproof. JK lol. Got him.
This is also on a 4 mana creature that doesn't have hexproof itself. It's fine.
Yeah, it's got 4 butt though, so that's not bad.
That's not bad. Also, it has an activated ability of 4 green. Put a +++ counter on each creature you control.
So, Abzan Snake.
Yes, you could do that. That is something that you could do.
Got it.
And then you play Rich Card, then all your dudes tap for mana, and then you just go off.
Oh, ham.
GG, well played. Next, let's talk about Karn's Temporal Sundering.
We're going to talk about this one for a sec.
Yeah, it's 4 blue for a legendary sorcery at rare. Remember, the legendary sorceries you can only cast if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporal Sundering. This is probably one of the cheapest and best time walks we've had in a while. Most recently, the other ones being Part the Waterveil from BFC was pretty good. Being able to, because it also had Awaken, you could just turn into like a 6/6 that just kills your opponent. But the reason why we're talking about this is that Noah Bradley, who has done amazing art on a bunch of basic lands and a bunch of other cards, he tends to not do things with figures in them. And if you look at, he did the art for all the legendary sorceries. And he killed it for every single one of them.
We'll put it this way. People say that you don't put the object of your painting in the center. You follow the rule of thirds.
Yeah.
No, Bradley said, screw you, I'm going to do it in the center, and he just murdered it.
So also, the flavor text in all of these follows the same pattern where it says centuries ago, comma, then a thing happens. For Karn's temporal sundering, it's centuries ago, a quest to harness time became a spiral into chaos.
Time spiral.
Karn, I don't think this was time spiral.
No, it's not time spiral. I'm just joking, but I'm saying time spiral.
Yeah.
It's the original like time experiments that Urza was putting him through that kind of caused all the time bubbles to happen and sundered the crap out of the entire plane of
Teleria.
Well, no.
Like there's portions of...
Well, not the whole plane of Dominaria, but specifically Teleria and that area.
Like Teleria, our card set off a temporal the temporal sundering part, and apparently there are parts of the island where time flows at incredibly slow speeds, and there's parts where it flows at incredibly fast speeds. Like there's areas of the island where the explosion from the sundering is still happening.
Yeah,
like to this day, which is ridiculous.
And that's like hundreds of years later, thousands of years later, I think, from that part of the story.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Also, if you didn't know, Stroke of Genius, where it shows Urza kind of like epiphanying, that's him realizing that when he makes his time-traveling golem, it should be made out of silver.
Yeah. Hence Karn Silver Golem.
Next, we have the Mirari Conjecture. 4 and a blue for an enchantment saga. So, we mentioned these last week. They start on 1, and then every turn they'll move up to 2, and then at 3, and then after 3 you sacrifice it. For the Mirari Conjecture, 1. Return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. 2. Return target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If you're playing a blue deck, you're going to have instants and sorceries in them. That's totally fine.
And if you're playing this on 5, you're probably going to have done something by now.
Of course. 3. Until end of turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy.
And that sounds oddly familiar.
It's almost like that's the exact same ability of the Mirari.
Close enough.
Yeah. There was a great article a few weeks ago by Blake Rasmussen talking about the Mirari Conjecture, talking about the art that James Arnold also did an amazing job of, which shows a bunch of what Wizards called wizard calculus, of people trying to of the current Wizards on Dominaria, trying to figure out how the Mirari works and trying to kind of understand it and all that other fun stuff. And it can be very powerful in the right scenario.
Remember, kids,
being able to copy kids, fireballs or whatever.
Science is art.
Science is art. It's true.
But
I actually did a thing in college where I passed off a math proof as an art piece.
Nice. Yeah,
great.
So with that though, like if you look at the art, you can actually see the Mirari in the bottom of it, and parts of this apparently correspond with parts of the map of Dominaria that we've seen, which also basically can give a hint like where the Mirari might have originally landed, what effects it might have had, where it might have had its most impact, and like how the Cabal found it and helped them. There's a whole bunch of story on the Mirari. Go find it. It's pretty deep. Basically, all right. So the Mirari TLDR, Mirari was a probe that Karn sent back to Dominaria to see if things had kind of settled down on the plane about 100 or so years after everything kind of went crazy, and he planes walked away after the whole end of Yawgmoth and stuff and the legacy weapon trigger. It got a little extra power up going through the Blind Eternities and ended up becoming like some wish granting powerful device. So yeah, it kind of went hinky, like everything Karn does seems to happen.
And if you're wondering where the Mirari is now, it's Memnarch, who's on Mirrodin, which is now New Phyrexia, and I think Memnarch's dead. It's weird. Don't worry about it.
There's a lot of story. Anyway.
Next. We have Naban, Dean of Iteration. He is one of the blue for a 2/1 legendary human wizard at rare. That says, if a wizard entering the battlefield under your control causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It is Wizard Panharmonicon.
So, if you're an EDH player and you have Inala, Remember, this does not work for Eminence.
It does not, because you don't technically control your commander.
But if she's on the battlefield, though,
yes, then it would work.
You can trigger a whole bunch of little wizards popping out.
Also, if you're playing Wizard Tribal, then your Wizard ETBs just happen multiple times.
Yeah, it's going to be hilarious, and don't know if he'll see any kind of real constructive play outside of EDH, but we'll see. We have to see what
he needs. Flash.
Yes,
in order to see play in standard, but he's also a 2-mana 2/1.
Here's the thing: if he had Flash, he's getting dangerously close to good old Snappy territory, but requiring wizards.
I suppose.
That said, not bad. I'm interested to see what people do with that in like Brawl.
Oh yeah.
Depending on how many wizards we get in this set, that could be fun and interesting.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Next, Ian, tell us about Demon Lord Belzenok.
You mean our Lord and Master who has all sorts of titles that he stole from other people?
Hold on. Demon Lord Belzenok, Evankar the Stronghold, Scion of Darkness, Doom of Fools, Lord of the Wastes, Master of the Ebon Hand, Eternal Patriarch of the Cabal.
Basically, he stole those titles because he's a big thief. Anyway, Demon Lord Belzenok, he is a 4/black legendary creature, elder demon at Mythic. He's a 6.
Real quick, there's an L after the N.
Oh,
I missed it too.
Belzenlock. Okay,
it's weird.
Belzenlock.
I agree.
And he's a big. Look at the
big poo-poo head.
Look at the big scary demon. He's a 6/6 with Flample, so flying and trample. And he reads, whenever he enters the battlefield, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Then put that card into your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process. Ooh. Demon Lord Belzenlock deals 1 damage to you for each card put in your hand this way. So, greatness at a price.
Yep. All of Liliana's demons have had the same kind of overall mechanic, where it's, they're usually all flying because they're all demons. And it's just like they have some ability that just really like punishes you in all the right ways or all the wrong ways, depending on what you're trying to do. Demon Lord Belzenlock, he's like the weirdest ad nauseum I've ever seen.
Yeah, right.
But it is greatness at any cost.
Also, what's kind of weird is technically he's supposed to be considered like the strongest of all of Liliana's demons, and yet he's got one of the weaker power toughnesses.
It's true. Kothafet, I think, is also a 6/6.
Yeah, Kothafet is.
But yeah.
Grizdad is a 7/7, and Razaketh is an 8/8. But he's a 6/6. But he's got more powerful abilities, though.
Yeah, I think Belzenlock is more along the lines of... like, his power is not in his physical prowess, but in his mental abilities.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Also...
He knows how to play the game.
He knows what he's doing. Also, I went ahead, and after talking about Naban, I was like, I wonder how many mono blue wizards there are that benefit from his abilities in Standard currently. The answer is Champion of Wits, which, lets you double loot a bunch of times. Riverwise Augur, if you want to brainstorm twice in a row. Silvergill Adept if you want to draw 2 cards. Storm Sculptor if you want to return 2 creatures to their owner's hand that you control. Tempest Caller if you want to tap down 2 opponents' permanents. Trophy Mage if you want to find 2 3-drop artifacts. And Water Trap Weaver if you want to freeze down 2 creatures.
It's not a lot so far.
Not a lot so far. But there's bound to be some more goodies that we haven't seen yet in Dominaria.
Well, I'm not even saying he needs to be the commander for the Brawl. He could just be...
Yeah, he could just be in the deck, too.
Yeah, value card for Brawl.
Oh, yeah, of course. Like, we've seen, based off of a picture that Wizards shared, we've seen Joda has a card. And we know that Joda's cost is 1 red, white, blue. But we haven't seen his rules text officially. It's in the document, which is why I'm not going to say any more about it. But there is at least a Jeskai Wizard deck that you could play. Yeah, buddy. Next, we have a card that I know... You said that there was an hour-long discussion about this card?
Yeah. So this one kind of came up. So kind of recently in the Pauper community, there's been sort of a divergence in the Discord arena. But there's a newer one, and it's kind of nice. And I joined it finally. And they had a decent talk about mono black control and Pauper and whether this next card, Divest, would see play there. I say yes. And why is that? Well, it's 1 black mana, so it's 1 CMC sorcery. At common, target player reveals their hand. You choose an artifact or creature card from it. That player discards that card. Now, what's Pauper known for it now? Creature beat down. Kind of. Ish.
Yeah.
So Delver decks are basically the biggest one there. And is it Delver plays like Spellstutter Sprite? I think still. No, it's mono blue. Now they play Delver, they play Ninja of the Deep Hour. So you can just pick apart their hand for that kind of thing. I know for Tron, I would hate it if I'm like, all right, I got this hand of 7. It's got a couple lands, and I've got 1 Mold Drifter. Let's do this. And they rip the Mold Drifter. It's like, that's not how I get value. I mean, granted, I'm trying to loot Mold Drifter out of my graveyard anyway, but it's like, oh, if I don't get those initial triggers on it for 2 cards, sets my game plan back horribly if I do that. Plus, I don't have a whole lot of things.
Also, Affinity is going to be... Can't really keep... I don't know if Affinity can keep 1-landers, but since they play the artifact lands, Divest can make them discard their artifact land.
Oh, yeah. That's right. It hits Affinity and Kodotha Boros, too.
Yeah. It hits a lot of those.
That's such a good card. Yeah, it's going to see Pauper play. I don't know if it'll see 4 of right off the bat, but it's definitely going to be a 2 or 3 of for those kind of decks looking for it.
It's also a reasonable discard spell in Limited, which you don't see them very often. Duress is fine. Thoughtseize is decent at best.
Divest is going to be a lot better in terms of that, especially over Duress, because in Limited and Sealed, you're probably playing 6 to 10 instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
Maybe some artifacts and enchantments here and there, in the 6 to 10 mark.
Divest can hit their big bomb. It can also hit their artifacts. And also, what's one of the big themes of the set? Historic. And what are going to be the big things that are going to trigger your historic cards?
Artifacts
or legendary creatures. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this card plays out. And also, it's probably going to be good in Standard. I mean...
Dude, the foil's going to look sick with those blue-like things.
Just for icing blew it out of the park.
Yep.
It's great.
It's great.
Next is another card for Pauper, Vicious Offering. 1 black for an instant at common. It has Kicker. And in case you forgot, Kicker is as additional cost to cast it, you can do the X thing. And usually when you kick a card, it does something bigger. In this case, it gives target creature -2/-2 until end of turn. But if it was kicked, it gives that creature -5/-5 instead.
Hey, you know what's one of the biggest creatures right now in Pauper that sees a lot of play?
It's the Grimangly fish, isn't it?
Yeah, Grimangler. 5/5. Yeah. It's a good way to kill it.
Because it turns out there's not a lot of Pauper cards that are efficiently costed that can deal with Grimangler.
I mean, if you're going to try and use a kill spell and you're just going to chump with it, I mean, it's kind of weird, but there are decks in Pauper that do look to recur sacrificial creatures and stuff like that. I know there's the green-black Tortured Existence deck that might want to use that as maybe a sideboard option if they need a kill spell for something against some of those creature decks, but could be interesting, especially if you're playing tokens. Just sack a token, yeah, got it. So we were talking about it should be interesting. I'll see how it goes. But anyway, we're talking about Noah Bradley, and we're talking about legendary sorceries. This next one is bananas because it is for what everyone's saying, this is literally the first time that this character has actually been depicted on a card.
Yep.
And that is Yawgmoth, and this is his Vile Offerings. Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. 4 black legendary sorcery. Again, it has the legendary sorcery, can only be cast if you control legendary creature or planeswalker clause. Put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Exile Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. And the flavor text is, centuries ago, a mad god offered a simple trade. Now, that simple trade, this is literally basically right after the events that happened in the original Phyrexian Arena art.
Yep.
Gerard has beheaded Urza. He's standing at a giant 40-foot tall Yawgmoth. By the way, this art of Yawgmoth has technically been seen before in an old Inquest magazine. But we've never actually seen Yawgmoth printed in this form on a card. Usually we've just seen him as kind of a black mist. But in it, there's a tiny little human figure at the center of it. And Yawgmoth told Gerard, behead Urza, and I will bring back Hannah. So it's his bargain saying, I'll give you Hannah if you give me Urza. And you give me his head. So hence the sack destroying one creature, Planeswalker, because he killed Urza Planeswalker to get back Hannah from the dead.
And you want to know the worst part? Yawgmoth didn't live up to his end of the bargain.
Nope.
That is the card Jilt, where Gerard realizes that it is not, in fact, Hannah, but Yawgmoth.
Yeah, so technically it's Yawgmoth in 2 forms on the card.
There's a great Reddit comment I saw about that, which is kind of an oxymoron, where Yawgmoth is literally everything in that picture except for Urza and Gerard. Yeah, like Yawgmoth is Phyrexia. Yawgmoth is the plane of wrath.
Yeah.
At this point, at this stage in the story, there is nothing in that plane that is not Yawgmoth.
Basically, yeah, like Yawgmoth has essentially won at this point. Yeah. And it's freaking rad. Oh, like seriously, just go look at the full art. I know Noah Bradley, I think, has posted the full high-res art of it. If you can dig that.
He's posted all of them in the Magic subreddit.
Yeah, and it's just gorgeous.
Oh, it's so good. Like, Noah Bradley, you're killing it. Next card is one that I put on the list that's kind of unassuming, but I wanted to talk about it. It is Gitu Chronicler. This was previewed alongside Divest by Strictly Better MTG. It is 1 and a red for a 1/3 human wizard. Okay, that's really unexciting, but it also has Kicker for 3 and a red. So you can spend 4 red to make a 1/3 that, when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's basically Snapcaster Mage.
It's like, it's like one of the Chronarchs in Archaeomancer.
Yeah, but it's red, which is awesome.
You know, Izzet Chronarch was also red.
Also, a 1/3, Izzet Chronarch is blue and red.
Yeah.
Like, this ability, it tends to be seen more on blue cards, like you said, Archaeomancer.
And
although there is Mnemonic Wall. There's also Anarchist, I want to say, is like 4 and a red for a 2/2 that returns target sorcery to your hand. But I like Gitu Chronicler for a few reasons. One, it's a defensive red creature, which we don't see very often. And it's really good in a red-based control deck, where it's like, you kill a thing, you play your Gitu Chronicler like late in the late game to pick up your, kill spell, or you need to play it early because you need a 1/3 blocker. It does a lot of. It's good early. It's good late. It's very, very. It's very interesting, and I'm excited to try to draft around this card and play. Like red-black removal deck, and Gitu Chronicler fits perfectly into that.
Yeah, it's an interesting card.
You know what else this does?
What
this works well with? Pulse of Marasa.
Bruh, I'm not paying 6 mana. I'm not paying 2 red. I'm not paying 2 red mana for something I can do for 5. Come on, man.
I'm not talking about in that deck, but I understand. I understand your consternation.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about some of our Gabo friends.
Not just any Gabo friends. Some old friends.
Oh man. So let's talk about the one that I was less surprised about seeing being reprinted in Standard, which is Siege Gang Commander. 3 red for a 2/2 goblin. When it comes into play, you make 3 1/1 goblins, and then it has 1 in the red, sack a goblin, deal 2 damage to any target.
So you're flinging a goblin at your buddy to shock him.
And you just throw talks around. Most recently, this has been famous for when LSV and Gabby streamed a Vintage Cube deck, and they drafted Storm, but they didn't have a win condition, except they did, which was Dance of the Dead and Siege Gang Commander. It was ridiculous.
So dumb.
It was so dumb. But, Ian, what was the card that they put out that is making everyone lose their freaking minds?
It's your boy Goblin War Chief. He's back.
The boys are back in town.
This card is so flavorful. Same way, Goblin War Chief, the old buddy. 1 red, Goblin Warrior at uncommon. It's a 2/2. Goblin spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Goblins you control have haste. Now, what's great about this is that Goblin War Chief is now, as one of the comments I see say, and one of the things, Goblin War Chief's modern legal.
Yeah.
8 whack, baby.
Ridiculous.
8 whack.
So now, not only can you now play Onslaught Block Standard in Modern with Goblin Pile Driver and Goblin War Retrieve, alongside Siege Gang Commander and all the other Goblin lords that we've gotten, like Goblin Chieftain, and oh my god, it's just ridiculous.
But Goblin War Chief is amazing because I love the flavor text on it. Because not since the days of Pashalik Mons have the Rundfeld Goblins been so united or effective. It mentions Mon Goblin Raiders, man. Mon's Goblin Raiders.
It's good.
I love it.
If you're thinking, if you're now asking, well, what are the goblins in Standard? Why, before this set, there are only 7.
But we have another one that
we
got
have
unveiled.
We have Siege Gang Commander.
Our good old buddy Squeeze back.
Squee the Immortal. Apparently, a lot of people are upset because, Squee is 1 red for a 2/1 legendary goblin. Rare, and it says you may cast Squee the Immortal from your graveyard or from exile, because Squee can never die, because Yawgmoth gave him a curse that he would never die, so that Korvax? I forget the name of the vampire
Korvax.
From the Weatherlight.
Korvax.
Yeah. Korvax would have a play toy to kill over and over and over and over again. And people are upset that he only got 1 point of power.
Oh, pshaw. He's been around enough to beef up. Just look at his muscles. He's got little tiny goblin muscles.
Yeah.
He bulked up a little bit playing with his toy.
Also, the flavor text is great. It's like, you gotta be pretty smart to live as long as me, but not being able to die helps.
It's so good. Oh, man. Everyone's just so happy to get like some of these old characters back.
Also, you know what he's holding?
His toy.
Squeeze toy.
By
the way, real quick.
That's a card, by the way, for people.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, the 7 goblins in Standard. Fanatical Firebrand. Pretty good. Goblin Trailblazer. Yeah. Lightning Rig Crew. Yeah. Rigging Runner. Yeah. Rummaging Goblin. Yeah. Swab Goblin, which you may not know because it's in the Angrath Planeswalker deck. It's a 2 and a 2/2 Goblin Pirate.
God, it's one of those cards.
And Wily Goblin, which makes a treasure when it comes into play. So there's not a lot of goblins right now, but maybe later. Although I feel that specifically, Goblin War Chief was a nod to Modern more so than a nod to Standard. But we'll see. We do have Siege Gang Commander.
We might get more goblins in the future too.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's.
Remember,
Magic.
You can go. You can now curve Siege Gang, or you can curve War Chief into Siege Gang.
You can, yeah.
And all the little buddies Siege Gang brings along have haste.
As the Siege Gang himself, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Next, there haven't been a ton of green cards that really excited me. I don't know if there's any that you wanted to talk about.
I'm kind we did see Grun, the Lonely King.
Oh yes, Grun.
Grun is the loneliest number.
Yeah. Oh my god. Why didn't I think of that?
I saw that one on Twitter earlier. It's so good. Anyway, Grun the Lonely King is a 4 green 5/5 legendary creature ape warrior with kicker 3. If Grun the Lonely King was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 5. Yes, 5 +1/+1 counters on it. Why does that matter? Well, whenever Grun attacks alone, double its power and toughness until end of turn.
It's the best Exalted card they've made.
Oh my god.
I'm obviously joking. But Grun does sick things with Rafik, if you wanted to go that route. Also, he's just a big, dumb idiot. And Green's very good at making big, dumb idiots.
Yeah, it's fun to see how they handled kicker with this. I mean, you gotta pay 7 green for that. But we'll talk about some cards a little later that might help you get there a little quicker.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. No, we have some. They're already on the list. I know which ones we're talking
about. Yeah. So let's go into our gold cards, because there are a lot of gold cards.
I want to talk about this boy, because he's getting in my commander deck.
So first up, everyone has to realize that apparently, when Wizards was making the new crew of the Weatherlight, that they were just literally making Firefly, and they didn't tell us.
Yeah, some people got a little touchy about that. I was just like, it's kind of there.
I mean, these are very archetypal characters on a crew, so
yeah, you can't really
the comparisons are always going to be there.
And then they just started going wild with all sorts of other meme pictures and Twitter
But-
and what's it called? Tumblr started intermingling and it got weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We already talked about Shauna, but we're going to talk about Arvad the Cursed.
yeah. So
He is 3 white-black for a 3/3 vampire knight. He's obviously legendary. He has Death Touch and Lifelink, and he has other legendary creatures you control get +2/+2.
yeah. There's not a huge amount of legendary creatures in my commander deck, which is right now it is Markov, but they're a decent number.
Yep.
And I don't sure mind giving them +2/+2. Seems pretty decent. Plus you can't.
Also, Death Touch and Lifelink are nice.
I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with that touch lifelink. So
would you say that his day was destined?
I'm going to ignore you on this one. Though
For those of you who want to play along at home, look up Day of Destiny.
yeah, so we got a bit of Arvod's backstory today in the story that came out.
Yep.
Not a whole lot, but a little tiny spicy bit of how he's joining up with the crew initially.
Yeah.
So TLDR on it. If you've been reading the story, we know that Tiana, the angel, reactivated the Power Stone, Warm Power Stone that powers the Weatherlight. And the minute it was activated, Arvad felt a pull towards the Weatherlight and started wandering towards it. He basically killed a bunch of guys and like, all right, cool, I'm going to steal this boat and, just start heading towards the Weatherlight. And just like hiked his way across. He's a former Benalish knight who got bit by a vampire of the Sengir lineage.
Mm-hmm.
And has basically
changed against his will.
And he's fighting his curse. But he's still like a Benalish knight deep down, but fighting all that stuff. So that should be interesting. Yep. I want to see where his character goes. I kind of like it. I've actually kind of considered throwing my hat into the ring for that whole what's it called? The Voice of All for this.
Yeah.
Where basically they do audio recordings of the books and they use voice actors and stuff like that. I've been kind of thinking of throwing my hat in the ring for this guy.
You should do it. I think you do a good job.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? This seems like a character I could try. Let's do it. Anyway, the next one, she's spicy. So this is
in more ways than one.
I think it's Adeliz.
I was like, yeah, Adeliz. We'll go with Adeliz
until we get
the
pronunciation guide. It's Adeliz the Cinder Wind. She is a 1 blue-red 2/2 legendary creature human wizard. Wizard.
Yeah.
Flying haste. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizards you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. John, does this play friendly with our boy?
This is not a. I think Nadan. I think he's on
it's
ETBs. Yeah, Naban is ETBs, not here.
I don't care.
Not
this
quite.
Basically gives every other wizard you have prowess.
Yes. Well, not technically prowess. It's instant and sorcery prowess, and it also buffs herself.
Pseudo prowess.
There's enough wizards in this set that you could do some really sick things. Like there's also Wizard's Retort and Wizard's Lightning, which when you have a wizard turn into literal counterspell and literal actual lightning bolt. So I think Blue Red Wizards is the tribe that we didn't know we wanted that we really wanted.
I want it.
I want it. I want to build the deck right now.
Look,
put it in front of me.
Look, man, Brawl, okay?
Yes.
I might try to brew some sort of Blue-Red Wizard deck in Brawl if it exists.
Well, I'm going to ask you to hold your phone for a little bit because we're going to get to who I think your actual Brawl commander is going to be a little bit later.
Sir? Sir?
Well, first off, we're going to talk about Joyra, Weatherlight Captain. So 4 blue-red.
Finally got the card to the art. Yay.
Finally got the card to the art. Blue-red Human Artificer. She's a mythic, and whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. As a reminder, the historic spells are artifacts, legends, and sagas. This is the first time that the Commander community has been really hammering wizards, because there's a lot of specific archetypes that Commander players want. One of the ones that people have been asking for are like non-combat Boros commanders, which is why Firesong and Sunspeaker not being in this packs is kind of eh. But Joyra is our first ever real blue-red artifact commander. This way we can play Joyra with Tezzeret, we can play Joyra with Daretti, we can play Joyra with, Maverick Thopterist from Kaladesh. Like, there's so many cool things that we can do with Joyride Commander that this is a perfect artifact commander if there ever was one in blue-red.
Yeah, people are even saying, like, so long, Brea, I can get rid of losing 2 colors and just deal with Joyra.
Yeah, because you can still do a lot of shenanigans with blue and red, but, you know, being able to play Brea lets you do a lot more varied things.
It's like, it's one of the first, like, blue-red commanders that doesn't be like, you must play spells. I want spells. Yeah. She's just like, yo, give me them artifacts, homie. Let's do this.
Exactly. Next card I wanted to talk about was Rona, Disciple of Gix. Gix being one of the Phyrexian
demons.
Individuals.
Phyrexian demons.
Demons, yeah. She is 1 blue-black for a 2/2 human artificer at uncommon. When she enters the battlefield, you may exile target historic card from your graveyard. You may cast non-land cards exiled with Rona, which is nice. You do have to pay their costs, obviously. And then you can pay 4 and tap to exile the top card of your library. Well, 1, with infinite mana and the ability to untap Rona, this is kind of like an infinite combo, because you can just literally exile your entire deck and cast it all. Which, you know, Commander is going to be known for doing shenanigans like that. But I also just like Rona from a gameplay perspective, where it's like, you can play her early, you know, exile one of your artifacts or whatever, you know. If you ditch like a Mox Amber, you can play it after exiling it or whatever. And there's a lot of cool play patterns that you can do with Rona, where it's like, well, I'm not doing anything in my I don't have anything good in my hand, so I'm just going to exile a card with Rona, and then, oh, I like this card, I want to play it. And there's a lot of cool things that you can do with Rona. I'm really excited to try to get a chance to play with her.
John, do you think she's cube playable? Powered cube playable?
Powered cube playable? No, I don't think so. I think her ability would need to cost like 2 or literally just tap.
Well, I'm saying like powered cube because, you know, you have all the mana rocks and stuff. Like,
it's true.
Black Lotus.
But you would also need a way to untap Rona.
Well, no. Enters the battlefield, exile your Black Lotus, cast Black Lotus for free. Crack Black Lotus, bounce Rona of Gix, exile Black Lotus, cast Black Lotus for free.
Okay, but you're not making mana.
Sir? Sir.
You're doing a lot of powerful nothings, and I love it.
Sir.
You're doing a lot of powerful nothings, and I love it.
Hey, man, I'm thinking outside the box.
Winning the game.
And there's other stuff you can do on the board as well. Anyway,
also true.
The art's amazing. She's holding a bauble. Kind of, it looks like Mishra's bauble.
A little bit,
but it's got Yawgmoth's mask on it.
Ooh.
Yeah, look at the big art.
See that.
If you look at the art for this in its blown up form, it has Yawgmoth's mask.
Well, it makes sense.
Flavor. I know it makes sense, but it's ridiculously cool.
Next, let's talk about the best boy.
Oh, this is the one that's inspired all the memes of, hey guy, like the boyfriend looking at the other girl meme of like sagas and like sagas, wizards, players of the
Teferi, Karn, all these things.
Wizards, and like everyone's like looking away at your boy Slimefoot the Stowaway, a 1 black-green 2/3 legendary creature, fungus, at uncommon. Whenever a sapling you control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. And they have an ability of 4. So pay 4 mana, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. The Thallid Bowl is back, baby.
This is also the best Sapperling commander in specifically green-black, because there is Gave, but Gave has problems because he combos with a Stiff Breeze.
You put Gave into play and people are like, we kill you now?
Basically. Slimefoot the Stowaway, however, is the best green-black Sapperling commander after Thelon of Havenwood, because his ability doesn't play well in Commander, unfortunately. But
everyone just loves the fun guy.
The art is great, and they're obviously a fun guy. Alex Konstad knocked it out of the park with this. My big question that has gone unanswered is, does Slimefoot speak? If so, what does their voice sound like?
I'm sure we'll find out.
At some point.
Yes.
Next, let's talk about Tatyova, Benthic Druid. If any card ruins Surge's chances of #fastbond to 0, it's Tatyova. She is 3 green-blue for a 3/3 legendary creature Merfolk Druid at uncommon. And she says, whenever a land enters the battlefield under you control, you gain 1 life and draw a card.
Seems decent. just
it's a pretty good value creature.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of play she'll do, but I mean, hey, blue-green merfolk.
It's another blue-green merfolk. Doesn't necessarily play nicely with the current blue-green merfolk because they don't really do a lot of like land shenanigans.
Explore, bro. Explore.
Yeah, but that doesn't put them into play.
I don't care.
But you
still draw them.
That is true. Gonna be great in Commander, obviously.
Definitely.
Blue-green is the best 2-color combination in Commander. I don't think anyone disagrees with me, but next, let's talk about ya boy. Well, first, let's talk about ya boy's oath, because Teferi, turns out, we're going to get to his actual Planeswalker card in a sec, but he has a oath, the Oath of Teferi. So he joins the Gatewatch, which is fun. His oath is 3 white-blue for a legendary enchantment at rare. When it enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, so it's a slow flicker for 5, which is not very good for 5 mana. Like, there's better things that you could be doing for that 5 mana.
But wait, there's more!
But if you're playing Oath of Teferi, you're playing it for the Planeswalker ability, which is you may activate the loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once.
Judge.
Yes.
How does this interact with the Chain Veil?
You got to do Chain Veil first, I believe.
Well, don't you?
No,
you can.
You have to use the.
You activate. You activate with twice with the Fairy, then you activate the Chain Veil, which says it has a foreign tap ability. It says for each Planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, as though none of its loyalty abilities have been activated this turn.
I don't think that negates the Oath of Teferi ability. So I think it's like you either do Oath of Teferi, you either do the Planeswalker activation, then the second activation due to Oath of Teferi, and then you do the Chain Veil. I don't think you can do activation, activate Chain Veil, do it a second time because the Oath of Teferi says, well, you've already done it twice.
No, I meant like you do both, activate the Chain Veil, and at least get one more trigger off of it.
Yeah, you don't get to go like infinite or whatever.
Oh, no. I'm just saying like you get to use a Planeswalker 3 or 4 times.
3 times in a single
turn, which is good.
It's ridiculous.
That's what I was getting at. Like, you can activate it. Chain Veil wipes away your double activations. You get that third activation. That's what I was going for.
Yeah. So now let's talk about Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. 3 white-blue for a legendary Planeswalker Teferi at Mythic. He starts with 4 loyalty. His +1 is draw a card. At the beginning of the next end step, untap 2 lands, which I hear is a good ability in control decks. -3, put target non-land permanent into its owner's library, third from the top. A moderate defensive ability. It's pretty good. And then -8, you get an emblem with, whenever you draw a card, which blue-white decks are very often going to be able to do, exile target permanent and opponent controls.
That's so flavorful, though.
It is very flavorful for what Teferi does, because he's a time mage. He's very adept at doing things with time. Like, that's why he's still alive, because he ages at a much slower rate than everyone else.
I mean, he also basically just phased out his entire city.
Yeah. Yeah, Teferi's card is very good. I'm interested to see if it sees play in Standard. I think I'm going to put this in my cube. It seems good enough to be put into a cube, honestly.
I'm interested if Blue-White Control adopts it, like maybe 1 or 2 of, as like an alt-win con kind of thing.
I mean, Blue-White Control already has some win conditions. Like, it's got Kefnet, it's got Approach of the Second Sun, and Teferi definitely doesn't hurt Approach of the Second Sun.
Modern.
Also modern, that's true. But everything's good in modern.
I know.
Yeah.
So, this next one... Ooh. I'm picking this one for the flavor art for the flavor text on it, but Muldrotha the Grave Tide. It's a 3 and a Sultai, so that's green, or black, green, blue. For a 6/6 legendary creature elemental avatar. At Mythic, reads, during each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard.
That is some value right there.
If a card has multiple permanent types, choose one as you play it, as the additional clause for that. So like something like Walking Ballista, which is an artifact in the creature, it could count for one or the other. But correct. The flavor text says, my child grew from rotten ruin, yet she bloomed. Multani. Oh, my boy Multani. My boy.
Yeah. The story has already mentioned Molimo, the other Morrow sorcerer, alongside Multani.
Yeah.
As being the person who gave the acorn seed.
We don't really have a whole lot of time, but Multani was my boy back in the day.
Yes. Right. So Ian, if people wanted to find you on social media, where can they do so?
You guys can find me on social media at DixonIJ on Twitter. That's DIXONIJ. And you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dix. I was planning on streaming more this week. However, such a thing called life gets in the way. And yeah, I know, right? Especially with work. So that kind of interrupted some plans on that one, unfortunately. But I do intend on trying to stream a lot more. It's kind of a little bit late. I was hoping to do maybe a little PUBG stream tonight. Just, kind of unwind because there is that new spicy, smaller map out there. But just follow me for that if you want to see some Magic streams. I will be streaming a little more Legacy, even though the GP is going to be this weekend. Legacy was pretty fun. More Pauper for sure. Kind of kicking the tires on some modern decks right now. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So follow the stream. John, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at JWiley129. That is JWILEY129. I'm also on Twitch at that same handle. If you see me in a Twitch chat, don't hesitate to say hi. Like I said, I've also been doing a lot of Eternal videos of late. You can find those on YouTube. They're also available to be found on my Twitter as well. If you want to reach the podcast directly, you can do so on Twitter at EyesInTheMise, or if you have a more personal question, shoot us an email at eyesinthemise@gmail.com. We always love to hear how we can best improve the podcast for you, our lovely listeners. On behalf of Ian, I'm John. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you all next time.